Today we're going to go over the top 8 signs that you might be called to be a shaman. Hello, and welcome back to my channel. If this is the first time that you're joining me, then welcome. So happy that you're here and that you've stopped by to hang out with me today. So today we're going to go over the 8 signs that you might be called to join the path of shamanism. I myself, I am Aaminah Wyzdom DVine. That is my healer name, and my shamanic name is Heals the Mother. I am an ordained and certified shamanic healer, spiritual minister and advisor. I am also a curandera. I am training in the arts of NLP and life coaching and all sorts of different things. I've been very busy, much like many of you watching this today. So, what kinds of things could you be going through that could make you think you may possibly be a shaman or being called to shamanism? Now, of course, there's going to be some of the run-of-the-mill normal things that we're all used to, right? So we'll just get that out of the way. You probably already know that you may have a connection to spirit, or you feel like you're awakening on a spiritual path. You may already be drawn to movies such as like The Lord of the Rings or The Last of the Mohicans, or drawn to ancient Egypt or African spirituality or drums and drumming. I mean, we know these kinds of things, right? Those are like the basic things. But beyond that, what are some signs, especially because now that we're in modern society, you don't have the village watching out for you, noticing you ever since you were a child and picking up on signs that you were the next village medicine woman, medicine man, shaman. Back in the day, somebody would have been keeping their eye on you for that, right? They would have had their finger on the beat your entire life. They would have known whether or not you were going towards this path. They would have already seen either that you had one of these different signs, or maybe the elder of the village, of the tribe, would have had a dream that that you were the next one, and then they would take you as young as possible. As soon as they finally figured it out, as soon as they knew, they would have taken you and started your training immediately, right away. So you would have lived that path as long as you as they could have, as long as they could help it, right? They would have made sure that you started grooming yourself and getting yourself ready to become the healer and the prophet that you were meant to be. The channeler, the service, the vessel and catalyst for change and growth that you were put here on this planet to be. So, since we do not have that ability and that privilege any longer in this day and age, in this world of everything being so modern and us being so estranged and removed from nature and the old ways, what are some tips and some ideas? Now, of course, these don't mean that you absolutely have to become a shaman, that you, this is the path, and oh, well, I guess I'll just give up my ideas of anything else I wanted to do. It doesn't mean you have to do anything like that. It also doesn't mean that you are automatically, you know, in your shaman hood, in your highest ability, ready to be the healer that you were meant to be. It doesn't mean that either. So you're gonna want to take up some type of training, do some more studying, figure out what your path is supposed to be before you take these ideas and just, you know, go run with it and decide like, oh, that's what oh, well, everybody come to me, I'm a shaman, I know what I'm doing, and I just know how to do that. I'm going to start like laying hands on people. So you'll want to, if you feel called to shamanism, then you will want to take that up as a path and begin your training and your studying. Okay, so what are the top 8 ways, like signs that you could know, that would tell you whether or not you might have a path and a calling towards shamanism. All right, let's get started. We have a lot to cover. Well, kind of. So, number 8. Let's start there. Number 8 is vivid dreams, especially dreams that are like lucid dreams, astral projection dreams. Astral projection is a type of spiritual journey. So you're already getting ready. That's already showing that you have the ability. And we all have the ability to go into shamanic trance, by the way. I'll do another video on that. Let me know if that's something that you're interested in the comments. But we all have the ability, in science has already proven that we have the ability in our brains to go into shamanic trance. But we're talking about dreams right now. So lucid dreams, astral projection dreams, prophetic dreams, dreams that you have that come true, and then you just have that ability of being a precog, having the ability of precognition that comes to you, especially in dreams, and past life dreams. So if you're able to dream a past life of yourself or of others, especially of others, that's like a really good indication that you're able to do spirit journeys for others, that you're able to read information from spirit for others. But if you have past life dreams, and especially if you have past life dreams of being a shaman, of being a medicine man or medicine woman, of being a healer of some kind, but especially some type of shaman. And it really doesn't matter where in the world you were a shaman, because we've had past lives and we've lived in different areas. You know, we're all like multicultural, multidimensional, multifaceted. And so you could have been a shaman in, ancient, in an Asian country somewhere, a Tibetan shaman, or you could have been an African shaman, or you could have been an indigenous shaman, and you were actually none of those things this lifetime. So it doesn't matter what it is, but you have a dream that you are in fact a shaman. Then that could in fact be trying to tell you that you have this path to take up this lifetime, that you were meant to be a shaman. All right, number 7. If you are drawn to nature, to animals, to herbs, to working with earthly energies, crystals, going out and doing fire pit ceremonies, being in nature all the time, wanting to go camping, wanting to be by the water, just wanting to commune with nature. If you feel called to go back to the old ways, if you feel connected to ancestors, and you feel like the way that things should be the old ways, and we should just be, like close to the dirt and close to farming, putting your hands in the soil. We should be talking to the spirits that live in everything around us, to the trees, to the earth, to the animals. And if you can feel the earth, if you feel like you can speak for the earth, if you feel like you feel the earth's energy, you're drawn to do healing for the earth, you're drawn to speak, you can feel like when the earth is crying, or when the earth needs something, when a piece of the land, the spirit of the land needs something, the spirit of the trees or the plants needs something. You feel that connection with nature, that you're like reading that energy and you're feeling that all the time and very drawn to it, then you might be what we like to call a steward for the earth, a steward for nature. And that is another calling that the shaman has. So the shaman is many things, a healer, but they're also a healer for the earth. They are meant to be a steward for the old ways and for the ways of nature. So if you're feeling like you want to be that, like you just feel called to do that. I know when I was little, I was so upset when people wouldn't cut the little plastics for the sodas, because they were getting caught in like the oceans, or they were killing birds. I didn't want to eat certain tuna because I found out, my mom make tuna sandwiches, and I'm like, that's the brand that the dolphins are getting caught in their nets. And I was like the biggest bugaboo to my family when it came to trying to get them to clean up their act, like act right, do what the earth needs us to do. Hello, don't you see the news? Don't you see that these things are wrong? I mean, we're messing up the earth. The earth is crying. We need the help. That was me. So if that was you, or that's how you are now even, then that could be a sign that you were meant to take up the shamanic path and be a steward for the earth. Okay, number 6. And number 6 is a near-death experience, especially the kind that you went into the spirit realm and you can remember that. You went to the light, you spoke with spirits. Once you've gone in there, it's kind of like, I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of like they put their scent on you, or they open up paths, they open up doorways. Once you get in there, then you try to come back to your normal life and nothing's the same. Now spirits are calling you all the time. They're following you around. Their dreams get more vivid and start drawing you back to the spirit realm. Once you get the chance to be able to start traveling, same thing with the astral projection I was saying, that you're able to start traveling into the spirit realm, then you are able to keep doing it again and again. And so that's a sign that since we travel through the spirit realm as shaman, and that's the work we're doing, our work on the soul level, and we're going and traversing through unseen realities, so lower world, middle world, and upper world. We're going to this cosmology of shamanism. If you're able to travel through the spirit realm, you've done it once already, that might be a big sign. It might be your send off, your catalyst, your initiation into shamanism. Also, if you survived a miraculous event or tragic accident of some sort, like being struck by lightning, that's one of the ones that is very common, and that's for a couple of different reasons. I mean, being struck by lightning is both miraculous and you know, like a mysterious event to like experience and live through, but also lightning is connected in shamanism to like the thunder realm or upper world, to thunder beings, to God, to spirituality. And if you can take on that like jolt of just straight God energy, just straight spirit, you know, just spiritual heat, and you can take that on through your body and you live through that, and you live to tell the story, that was seen even in ancient cultures as a sign that you were meant to be a shaman, and they would immediately start your training at that time. So but in our world, it's not just being struck by lightning. It could be a huge crash where there were many casualties, but you lived through it, or something else like a near-death experience where the doctors and your family thought that you were not going to make it through, but somehow you made it through. Even if you didn't have a near-death experience as far as an afterlife, you know, experience in the spirit realm, but if it was like thought that you were not going to make it through, and then you did anyways, that could be like a childhood illness where you had really, really high fevers, and then you somehow you pulled through. That could be another sign that you were meant to take up a shamanic path. All right, now number 5. Number 5 is if you find that it's easy for you to go into shamanic trance, or to go into trance, we'll say. So until you become a shaman, you don't see that as shamanic trance. But if it's easy for you to go into a trance state of some kind, whether it's through listening to drumming, whether it's through being in a group around the fire, and you're staring into the fire and you find yourself just kind of like zoning out, looking at the fire, and it starts to feel like you see things in there, or you get taken into another world, you see a city inside of the fire and you go into that city and like you just lost time because you've just been looking at it for so long. Or if you go into dance trance, if you're dancing and you just lose yourself, like the song says, lose yourself to dance. If you lose yourself and you dance and you can just hear like the voices of things talking to you, or you just see things, colors just swirling around you, it just lifts you, it just takes you somewhere else where you're just like not even in your body anymore, it feels like. That's called dance trance. If let's see, listening to music, if you're meditating, if you are in meditation and it's not just sitting in meditation for you, it's like downloads are coming through, or you're visiting another world, or you go remote viewing. That's another one besides astral travel. Remote viewing is like being able to see where, see things like actual places, like if you're there, almost like you're flying above it. And so if you're able to experience some kind of trance state where it feels like you're in another dimension, or you left your body, or you went somewhere else easily for you, where it's like, oh man, I zoned out again, I don't even know where I went, that is another sign that you are being called to be a shaman. It's easy for you because it's something that was wired in you. It's easy for you because you are supposed to be using that ability to go into shamanic trance, which is where you will eventually travel through the spirit world in a shamanic journey. So that's number 5. Number 4, you see, are called to, or you dream about thunder beings. So thunder beings, you might have heard of a thunderbird. A thunderbird is a giant, like very, very grand, larger than life bird, like our normal birds, but a very, very large scale of bird. So thunder beings are believed in shamanism to be beings that live in the upper world realm. And so if you've ever witnessed these animals, you might be connected to the upper world and connected to shamanism. So if you feel like you ever saw, even in the distance, or you just experienced an encounter with a thunderbird, whether it's in dreams or in real life, or you just feel called to the symbol of thunderbird, or the symbol of giant animals, a giant lion, giant horse, if you're connected to giant beings in some kind of way, dragons, a griffin, a phoenix, these big mythical creatures are just giant of our version, what we have, like not even a mythical creature like a horse, but a giant version of it. This is a call to shamanism. Back in the day, the ancestors would have noticed that you took a dream on of witnessing or encountering a thunder being, and they would have known right away that that was your initiation, that it was now time for you to pick up your path and start your shamanic training. So that is number 4. Number 3 is if someone, or if most people around you have already deemed you as a healer. So back in the ancient days, if a child or young teenager, somebody in the village just naturally had a knack where they found that like it just was something easy for them. Somebody might notice, somebody might have a feeling. First person maybe has a feeling. I have a feeling that I can come to you and you're going to help me and heal this for me. And the person may not have known that they could do that. And so they heal that person and it works. Then another person by word of mouth comes, well, you should go to so-and-so in the village because they can heal things. And then they heal that person. And then someone else might say, oh, they can see things. Since they can heal things, maybe they can see things and they can help me, discern my dreams. They can help me find a tonic. So that's how, that would be another sign that a person was meant to take a shamanic path, or medicine woman, medicine man, in the village a long time ago. So for you now, that could be somebody everyone comes to you for advice. They just see you as just that healing energy. They just know they can tell you things. They know that you won't judge. They know that you'll have answers for them. They know that everything you say makes sense, even if it's not what they want to hear. That you're just kind of this catalyst for change. And that could be the opposite as well. So people could avoid you and decide that they are not able to be around you. They can't handle your energy, because every time they're around you, it's bringing things up for them to heal. It's bringing up those shadows that they have. It's bringing up the things that they have missed, the wounds that they missed out on that they haven't healed yet. You bring those things to the surface for them. And so some people can be very drawn to you for that healing, or they can avoid you because of that very same gift. So if your family members, your friends, your village, whatever your current or your more modern version of a village is, if they've deemed you a healer already, they come to you for herbs, they come to you for advice, they come to you for dietary questions. They just don't know why. Like, you've never told them necessarily, oh, I'm going to school to study the gut. They just want to tell you because they feel like they just know that you could do that. For some reason, hey, I've been having these problems with my gut. What do you recommend for that? And you just find that you're tapping into that, or even if you're, researching it, but you kind of know where to look and you just know what to do. That is the sign that the village has deemed you the healer for everyone. And so they will, that is another sign that you're being called to be the shaman, because you're kind of in a way already starting to do your shamanic work anyways. You're healing the community, you're healing your family members, and other people recognize that you have this gift for healing. Back in the day, that's how you would have gotten the name shaman. So even now in modern times, we could call ourselves, shamanic healer or shamanic practitioner, because we're trying to honor the old ways and trying to say, I can't deem myself a shaman, which I know some people do, and that's completely your choice. But I know that many people won't use the term shaman unless other people call them that, because that's the way that it would have been in ancient times. You don't deem yourself shaman, the village, they're the ones that decide. So in the modern times, it could look a different way. It could be that everyone comes to you for all kinds of things. So that is number 3. Number 2. So we're getting up here to the last 2 that are the big ones now. Number 2 is shamanic crisis, shamanic illness, shamanic wound. These are different terms for the same thing. So basically, if you've experienced a shamanic illness, that would be like an illness that is not curable, that is like really, really keeps you sick, like an autoimmune or something, or it's just a medical mystery, and you've just been sickly your whole life, just off and on again, sickly with different things even. You're just constantly sick, especially ever since you felt like you might have had a calling. That could be a shamanic illness. A shamanic crisis is like a mental breakdown, like a whole breakdown that you have, that you just kind of, your spirituality is being called into challenge now, and you suddenly don't have the same friends anymore, and suddenly the world doesn't work the way that it used to anymore, and you're like taking things in, and you're transmutating the energy, and you're trying to understand it, and it's like showing you like images, and you got sacred geometry on the mind, and I remember all of this, right? So we're like, like all this and stuff is awakening, and you can't feel sane no matter what you do. Like you just can't you can't get better. You're trying all kinds of earthly physical realm things, self-help books, and all kinds of supplements and things, but it's just not getting you all the way better. And then the last one is shamanic wound. And shamanic wound could be like everything in your life just kind of going wrong. So it's like, or it could also be like what we talked about before, being like struck by lightning or something. But it's we're talking about like all of nature, everything around your life just is falling apart. You've lost all of your friends. Your job, you can't get another job. You can't stay at the same jobs that you stayed at before. Nothing's making sense to you anymore. You got a flat tire. You lost your license. Your purse was stolen. Like all kinds of things, just back to back to back, just going wrong. Now, the reason for shamanic crisis, shamanic wound, or shamanic illness, the belief behind that is that you have a calling. You're meant to pick up that path. You're meant to like listen to the guides, listen to the universe, and say, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do. Back in the day, like I said, somebody would have yanked you, out of your hut, your house, your tent, whatever you lived in back in those times, and they would have brought you over and immediately started to train you. Right? And so you wouldn't have been a way for you to get away from that. But even then, there would be people that would deny that. No, that's not me. That's not meant for me. I'm not supposed to do that. And you ignore your path and you try to keep doing things the way that you've always done them, and it's not working anymore. And the reason for that is because you're pushing against nature. You're pushing against what you're supposed to do. So the nature of things wants you to move in this direction. It's guiding you and saying, no, this is the shamanic path. I'm going to push you. And you're in resistance to that, and you're pushing back against that. So now it's you versus the universe versus natural law. And so that's not great. So then what's going to happen from there is that the universe is now going to start pushing back, and it's going to feel like everything is going wrong. Nature is not in alignment with you. This could be animals like attacking you, attacking your car, all kinds of other stuff. This could be, like I said, like having just disasters, natural, like a flood all of a sudden happens in your house, but back-to-back things, or the illness in your body just not recovering well, or your mental state. And it could be the opposite too. This that it's not recovering, but that it recovered out of nowhere. That there's no answer for it, that you had a mystery illness and suddenly you got better. And there's like not a real good answer for it. If you guys have been following me for a while, you might have already seen a few videos ago where I talked a little bit about my story and how I was raised pretty much in the hospital for quite a few years because I had a mystery illness, and it got so bad that my body got twisted and mangled to where I was in a wheelchair, and I could no longer walk. And then I went to Santa Fe. My mother drove out there, and I met with these medicine women. I went with the woman who worked with herbs. herbs, a woman who channeled past lives, and a woman who was an intuitive nutritionist and spoke to my body, and my body told her what kind of foods to eliminate and what kind of things to add in order for me to get better. And with the three of these energies and my energy, putting it all together, I was able to walk again. Now, I still get lots of little flare-ups and stuff like that when I'm not doing, especially when I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And that's my shamanic path letting me know, hey, 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 you're veering off too far from your path, and you already know what you should do. And that's the problem, is that like we don't want to be different, right? We don't want to be like set apart, isolated from what everybody else is doing. So we ignore the signs telling us, no, you're supposed to live this way. You're supposed to, so what? Everybody else is drinking sodas and getting drunk and staying up, all night and not getting any sleep. When you do that, maybe you feel really, really miserable and you just aren't like everyone else. And so you're just experiencing this isolation from society and you just feel different. And it's messing with your mind. It's causing a lot of depression. And so that could be part of your shamanic wound, your shamanic crisis that you're going through, where everything feels like it's going wrong first, so that you'll recognize it and put everything in the right place so that it can be put together again and it can flow, because you will now be in the flow and alignment with the universe and nature the way it was meant to be. So that was a big description of that one, but that was number 2. All right, now we're on our last one. Number 1. The number 1 way to tell that you may be called to be on shamanic path. And again, this is not necessarily a definite, but number 1 is that you in fact came from a long line of healers. You have relatives and ancestors that were shaman themselves, that were shamans, or you had there were medicine women, medicine men. All your family is like drawn to like being nurses, laying of hands, channeling answers, great advisors. They just kind of happen to come from others. So in Mexican culture, curanderas. My African side, maybe they were voodoo women. They were in Africa. They were spiritual healers. They were shaman themselves, which were like some type of medicine men and medicine women. So different things in different parts of your life, and different relatives and ancestors, if they themselves, and you just keep finding out, wow, there's another one, they had a healing, they had a calling, they had a gift, then very, very likely you were meant to follow the same path and the same gift. So that's the number 1 way to tell that if you have that, especially obviously above everything else, that you feel called to. You yourself just feel called. You feel like shamanism feels like the right thing for you. That word keeps coming up. It's something you're very curious about. It's something that just feels like it could be right for you. It could be meant for you to do. Then that mixed with some of these other things, of course, could mean that you were meant to be a shaman and follow a shamanic path. So that is the end of our video of the information I have for you for the top 8 reasons that you might actually truly be being called, that you might actually truly have a calling towards shamanism and the shamanic path. Again, shamanism existed on many continents in the world, all over the world. There were signs of shamanism, even if they did not call it that. Shamanism is just a very vague word that we're using to describe this type of healer that went to spirit realms and did work for people, a healing on the soul level. And so that was called different things in different countries and continents in antiquity and ancient times. But for now, we just use the same word shaman for these kinds of things. So this is what we're talking about here. And if you do feel like you're called to be a shaman and you're called to find out more about that, and you're curious and you want to dive deeper into that calling for yourself, especially you feel like this video was talking to you, then you might want to check out my Shamanic Training Level 1 certification course. I'm starting another round soon. The details will be in the actual description of this video, because I don't know what date that you're watching this video. So I'll just put the description there, and that way you'll just read down there and you'll know when the next class I have coming up. I might be on level 2 or level 3, or there might be other options for you at that time. But in order to begin and get started, you would start with level 1, and that's beginning level shamanism, where we would teach you how to take a shamanic journey, how to tap into that, how to go into the spirit realms and upper world, middle world, and lower world, how to find out what your power animal is, how to do all kinds of shamanic healings and the different shamanic tasks, and navigate your path on the beginning level through shamanism. So check that out. Link below if you are interested in that. And other than that, just take care of yourselves, everyone. Thank you so much for checking this out. If you liked this content, please, 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 I urge you to like this video first, because it's completely free and doesn't take too much out of you to do that. And it really helps me out with the algorithm and the YouTube gods. And subscribe to the channel if you want to see more like this and these videos. I did take a break this time for, we are doing our series of the 5 shadows that are most prevalent in empaths, highly sensitives, and other gifted healers. This time I took a break for shamanism. And so make sure you click the bell if you wanted to find out when the next video comes, so that you won't miss the other series that I have, and all of these wonderful informational things that I have for you, and different events for shamanism and stuff that I might have. So that's it for me. Thank you guys so much. Wisdom out.